Good evening, everyone, and Fedi's not wrong about the Vice-Chancellor. He really loves this event, and unfortunately he can't be with us, so unfortunately he gets second best, which is me. Don't drop the ball, Simon, as they say. But thank you very much for being here. We do want to make some acknowledgements before we begin. In particular, we'd like to welcome the Kingdom of Morocco Honorary Consul General Roland Jabor, OAM, Hume City Council Deputy Mayor Councillor Naeem Kurt, Dandenong City Councillor Jim Mehmeti, Australian Intercultural Society Executive Director Mr Ahmed Kiskin, Australian Intercultural Society Advisory Board Member and journalist Ms Karen Percy, Deakin Institute for Citizenship and Globalisation Director Deakin Distinguished Professor Fethi Ansuri, Deakin executives and senior academics, distinguished guests and friends. And if you're not in that list, apologies, but you know. Deakin is delighted through its UNESCO Chair for Comparative Research on Cultural Diversity and Social Justice to host the 2026 annual Iftar dinner. We do so in partnership with the Australian Intercultural Society, which has been instrumental in providing opportunities for non-Muslims to experience the traditions of Islam. It's a privilege to be here with you to share this great tradition. And I begin by acknowledging the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nations, the traditional custodians of the land on which we are gathered. Social cohesion is not social homogeneity. It asks more of us than thinking alike, worshipping alike, or looking alike. None of these are necessary or even desirable. It is a compact by which a diverse community chooses to live together and flourish. And it is, I'd argue, one of the most important responsibilities a university can embrace. This evening is an act of genuine encounter, an opportunity to be present with one another, share something meaningful, and be reminded of all that we hold in common. Of all the occasions on our university calendar, this is among the most significant, not only as a celebration of Ramadan, but as an affirmation of something we hold deeply at Deakin. That cross-cultural understanding, interfaith respect, and community cohesion are not aspirations. They are commitments, honoured in the simple act of showing up. I'm honoured to stand here as Executive Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Education, a faculty whose purpose is to understand the human condition, how we make meaning, build communities, and find ways to live alongside one another. Which brings me to the world as it is right now. In Australia and across the globe, these are painful and uncertain times. In too many places, conflict has become the backdrop of ordinary life. Hatred, ancient in its origins, but finding new and devastating expression, is fracturing communities. Racism and anti-religious sentiment are not abstract policy debates. They are lived realities, felt in the daily lives of people in this room, on our campuses, in our streets. Faith communities across this country, Muslims, Jewish, Christian, Sikh and others, have borne the weight of suspicion, vilification, and worse. As educators, researchers, citizens, and fellow human beings, we feel the gravity of this. The philosopher Hannah Arendt wrote that human plurality, the fact of our difference, is not a problem to be solved, but the very condition of public life. The Faculty of Arts and Education is grounded in that conviction. The data confirms what many in this room already know. The 2024 Scanlon Foundation Research Institute Mapping Social Cohesion Survey found that 1 in 6 Australian adults experienced discrimination based on skin colour, ethnicity, or religion in the previous year, a figure that rises to 1 in 3 for overseas-born Australians from non-English speaking backgrounds. These are not abstract statistics. They represent people in our workplaces, our classrooms, and our communities. The recently released Racism at Uni study, the largest and most comprehensive examination of racism in Australian universities ever undertaken, only deepens that picture. Drawing on the experience of more than 76,000 students and staff across 42 universities, it found that racism is systemic. 70% of respondents experienced indirect racism, 15% reported direct interpersonal racism. Only 6% of those affected made a formal complaint. Deakin was among participating universities, and we take those findings seriously. At Deakin, racism, overt, systemic or subtle, has no place. The study's recommendations align with the Australian Human Rights Commissioner's National Anti-Racism Framework, the country's first comprehensive whole-of-society roadmap for eliminating racism. Together they make plain what researchers at the Deakin Institute for Citizenship and Globalisation have long argued. This is structural, it is pervasive, and it demands sustained action, including from universities like ours. Through the Deakin Institute for Citizenship and Globalisation, Australia's leading social sciences and humanities research institute, and its Centre for Resilient and Inclusive Societies, we are producing the evidence-based policy frameworks that governments and communities urgently need. Cultural safety is not a courtesy, it is a condition of belonging, and belonging is not given freely, it must be actively and deliberately constructed. The people in this room understand that, whether through community organisations, educational institutions, or civic life, you have continued to invest in relationships, in dialogue, and in the hard, necessary work of building a more just and cohesive society. In the current climate, that commitment is extraordinary. Ramadan is a time of reflection, discipline, and deepened compassion. And Iftar, the breaking of the fast, is among the most generous of human gestures. An invitation to the table, a reminder that nourishment, like dignity, is not a private matter. Tonight I invite each of us, regardless of faith or background, to carry that spirit forward, not just in the relationships we maintain, but in those we choose to build. Thank you for being here.